In terms of the success, it would be useful if both China and the US actually be bold in challenging one another through action. And both need to focus on three items. One, on loss and damage and adaptation. These are critical for the most vulnerable. A successful COP28 means certainty in climate finance resources. The US needs to show it is not only ready but eager to carry their fair share of contributions in resource mobilization, given their role as a large historical emitter. But China needs to recognize it has an entire arena to win if it drives the loss and damage debate. Rich countries rightly shoulder the burden of justice and responsibility on this issue, but China's opportunity is that of demonstrating what developing country solidarity looks like. It must use its considerable experience in building, repairing, replacing, and modernizing infrastructure in the face of worsening climate impacts. And on adaptation, China can only expect full partners among vulnerable nations determined to establish more resilient domestic infrastructure. Number two, the US and China need to cut emissions as rapidly as possible, just to echo my other colleagues here. And China is likely in the best position to do so because of its global leadership in renewable energy. Resilience is the floor of vulnerable country ambition, and the main goal is prosperity. And so we need to build out a lot of infrastructure, which should translate to compelling opportunities to expand common prosperity driven low carbon partnerships for China in manufacturing, especially in offshore wind. And three, on multilateral reform, in the lead up to COP28 is an opportunity to illustrate real leadership through sincere and consistent multilateral cooperation. As we know, any lasting solution on climate will require a reform of the international financial architecture that is supportive of the most vulnerable groups. And so the V20 put together the Accra Marrakech Agenda with the aim to cement an international coalition backing a fit for climate global financial system. And what's interesting about the roadmap is that it'll be finalized in Marrakech, and that the sister organization of the V20, called the Climate Vulnerable Forum, in 2016 during COP22, has shared history with China. It was in Marrakech where China was the first to openly stand with vulnerable countries, where Europe was hesitant and the US did not show up. China didn't hesitate in responding to the call for shared global leadership with the most vulnerable. And this year, in October 2023, we have the opportunity once again to succeed, encouraged by multilateralism, to deliver shared prosperity through the Accra Marrakech Agenda, where cooperation with China can underpin not just an abstract global goal, but development success of our 58 member countries, now representing 1.5 billion people. And this is the real big prize.